We're live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Paterson Zoning Board of Adjustment special meeting of May 20th, 2021, 7:30 p.m. Notice pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act addressing effective coronavirus measures on the next public meeting consistent with the coronavirus-related restrictions of Executive Order number 107, given on Saturday, March 21st, 2020 by Governor Philip D. Murphy. The Board of Adjustment of the City of Paterson will not conduct in-person participation of the public at all future meetings until further notice. However, public participation will be available by means of communication equipment pursuant to NJSA 10:4-8, commencing on Wednesday, April 23rd, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. Though there may potentially be a practical need for a limited number of administrative, technical, or other city personnel to be present in or near the council chambers, 3rd floor, City Hall, 155 Market Street, Paterson, New Jersey, in-person participation of the public is prohibited. Nevertheless, for reasons of compliance with the said Executive Order number 107, public participation will be available by calling area code 973-321-1579 and entering meeting ID number 711-680-001 on the date and time that the meeting is scheduled to commence, which is May 20, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. The public may also participate in the meeting by accessing the website of the City of Paterson. Please mute your mics. www.patersonnj.gov. Follow the email link for the meeting, www.patersonnj.gov/Board of Adjustment. On Thursday, May 20, 2021, there will be a special meeting of the Paterson Board of Adjustment, which will be held at 7:30 via webinar session, virtual meeting. The following matter will be heard. Riverview Property Management Realty LLC, 577-579, 580-583, 585, 587, 589, 591, and 593 River Street, Block 2004, lots 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 in the B1 zone. Applicant is seeking use, bulk variance as well as site plan approval. It's an application to construct a new 4-story mixed-use building, which will be more further detailed by the planner, both for the city and for the applicant. At this time, can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Oh, yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic, which stands, one nation, for God. Just. Whoa. All right, sorry about that. I just had technical difficulties. My camera and mic shut off. All right, so I'm going to call the agenda. I'm just going to is the applicant present with regard to Riverview Property Management Realty LLC?
Yes, the applicant is present, Al Maricondo, the applicant.
And you ready to proceed, Mr. Maricondo?
We are.
All right, I'm going to call the roll. Chairman Daxton?
Present.
All right. Commissioner Dumas? Not present. Commissioner Furman?
Present.
Commissioner Hodges?
Present.
Commissioner Levine? He's not present. Commissioner Ronaldo?
Present.
Commissioner Roheen?
Present.
Commissioner Watkins?
Present.
Commissioner Torres Arenas?
Present.
All right. We have 6 commissioners present, Mr. Maricondo. You do have a use variance. It's your intention to proceed, is that correct?
It is our intention to proceed. I believe a 7th commissioner came in, unless I'm mistaken.
You know what? You may be right. Yes, you're right. Commissioner Hodges is on, yes. You are correct, Mr. Maricondo.
Thank you. We are ready to proceed.
All right, please give your opening.
Thank you very much.
Hold on 1 second.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Maricondo, the property taxes paid on this property.
I received the taxes and sewer. I've coordinated with Mr. Maricondo in his office today. They provided me documentation earlier today. Some of the taxes were paid by third party, but all issues have been resolved. Mr. Maricano, did you figure out that one issue with regard to the sewer?
Yes, in fact, all the sewer bills were paid. There was actually a credit on one account, so we were all good there. Thank you very much. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, Commissioners. We appreciate you hearing us on a special meeting basis. We also thank you in view of the fact of the board staff situation. We wish the board secretary, of course, Ms. Vega, the very best. We thank the other members of the board as well as the council and planner for stepping in. Partially, part of this property involved the old Tropicana restaurant and bar, which is no longer in existence. You may know or recall that this site, part of this site had a fire damage, severe fire damage, and so now we're encompassing that part of the parcel with the remaining tracts and lots that you see before you, Mr. Evans is, which will provide not only quality new housing, but substantial new professional retail type of space. And the applicant anticipates that there may very well be medical office space on the ground level in the B3 neighborhood business district. I believe we'll be able to establish as well that there's a great need for that type of professional use along that area. This area having had such medical uses for many years ago that are no longer there. So.
But, Mr. Maricano, I know you've been in Maggie's office hundreds of times, and there's paperwork up to the ceiling, and you alluded to that in your opening statement. So I know she was always busy, and you know, paperwork could always get to this place. But trying to remember on revisions, especially that you and Matt Evans are on most of the applications. If there was a revision, please email it to me. I mean, that's been like months and months and months. So if Matt would have emailed it to me, you know, fortunately today I was able to change my work schedule and I sat in and did it. But if I wasn't, you know, we wasted a special meeting and I can't guarantee that every time. So please, Mr. Evans, when you make a revision, please email me the revision, because if it doesn't come from Maggie for whatever reason, you know, we're not going to be able to proceed. We were able to proceed only because we changed the schedule, but please, in the future, gentlemen. Okay?
We fully understand that, but I wanted to point out, as I tried to, is that this was actually a new application filed in February, application plan upon initial filing all the time. No problem.
Okay, moving forward, we'll work that out, because I know the office always wanted all the original files first.
Yep.
Okay.
Gentlemen, we'll talk about this at another time. Let's move forward with the application.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Evans, do you swear upon testimony about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Say your full name for the record.
Matthew Evans, architect, 470 Chamberlain Ave, Paterson, New Jersey.
Mr. Evans, would you state for the record your professional licensing and background briefly?
Yeah, presently licensed in the state of New Jersey as a registered architect. Presenting as an architect this evening.
Appeared before this board on many occasions.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, ask for his acceptance as an expert.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Excuse me. Mr. Evans, you obviously prepared the site plan that is being presented this evening.
Yeah, I'm gonna share it. Let me know if you can't see it. Can you see it?
Is that available to the commissioners?
Yes, I see it.
Okay, very good. Okay, Mr. Evans, could you give us an overview of the site? It's quite a large site. Could you give us an overview of what we're proposing and what's pre-existing?
Okay, if anybody familiar with the area, it's at the intersection of 6th Ave and River Street. There used to be a go-go bar, Tropicana, mixed use, that had rooming houses, and there was a go-go bar at the corner, which was destroyed by a fire, along with the other lots adjacent to that property.
Mr. Evans, just give the date of your plan before the record, please. Yeah.
All right, there's
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no problem. There's one date. It's January. Let me see. Let's say 6th, January 8th, 2021. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, okay. All right, Okay, so that is the only plan that we'll be working from this evening.
Right, so, I think the confusion came, we did a previous application for just one or two of the lots that was, were superseded, this is superseding that, that
All right, so
application.
this presentation encompasses all the lots that are contained on our application.
Yes,
Okay, you can proceed to explain what we did in terms of the older lots, were they vacant, partially existing?
Right.
Yeah.
so basically we have from lot 9 through 16 along River Street, and as I mentioned, the intersection of 6th Avenue. And then, as you can see on the site location plan, East 12th Street comes around and ends at the back of all those properties. So we've used that as part of our design strategy to incorporate our mixed-use development along with parking, which would be accessed on, looking at the site plan on East 12th Street. So coming to the rear is basically our vehicular access to the property. And what we've done on this application, which we haven't really addressed in the previous applications in the city of Paterson, we have 2 levels of parking. We have a lower level and then we have a main level. So by doing that design, and the other reason we were able to do that is because the elevation is different on 6th Avenue and River Street as it is in East 12th Street. So it's lower on East 12th Street, and we show on our site plan, as you can see in the hatched area, that's the building footprint. We have the new sidewalk, curbing, lighting, landscaping, and showing the access. We have a ramp that goes down to a ramp at the end of East 12th Street, goes down to the lower level of parking. I'll get into that in a little bit. Then we have another ramp that goes up to this upper level, which is exposed to the sun, and then there's covered parking below that, or behind that, under the building. So that's basically the site plan. We're using the footprint of the building block to give it better setbacks of the other properties, and basically all 0 lot line condition structures that were adjacent to the lots on the property and also in the neighborhood. So that's the site plan. I can show you. We also show the parking. We have site details. We have an aerial view, lighting schedule, and our zoning table, which I can go in.
That'll be from planning testimony.
Right. So the planner will be offering up testimony on the relief for the variances.
In terms of the ground level and the upper levels, then I guess you can proceed with your proposed interior design.
Right, so we just show another plan, which is S2, shows the drainage and grading plan for the proposed structure, and all the details: water connection, sprinkler, stormwater, sidewalk details, etc. We have sheet A1, which is kind of a hybrid with the site plan. So it shows as I mentioned, the ramp, which brings you down. This is the lower level parking level. And you can see this hatched area is the circulation, the parking. You come down the ramp, and we have under the building, we have all the parking, majority of the parking, we have tandem parking, and we have all that up to 61 parking spaces, which is below the main building and the upper parking deck. We have 2 means of egress. We have remote. We have one on 6th Avenue and one on River Street. That's all vertical access. We have a sprinkler room in the basement. We have bike rack storage, and we have electric, utility and gas room on the lower level. Going to the next level, basically what we have here is the commercial and the parking deck behind that. We show 10,000 square feet of commercial tenant space, which we can talk about in a little bit. And that would be basically occupying the ground level on River Street and accessing all along River Street. And then we have access to the rear parking deck. We have 29 parking spaces on the upper deck. So we have 29 and 61 gives us 90, total of 90 parking spaces for the development. We have a mail package room. This would be the entrance to the apartment section of it on the Riverside, River Street entrance. We have a fire stair, elevator. We have a mail package room and an office for the tenants. Then we have refuse and recycling. In the rear of that, we have a compactor and a garbage chute, which is accessed through the upper floors for the tenants. We have handicap parking as required by the code, and there you would access this parking deck from, as I mentioned, you go straight down to the lower level, but for this one we come to this side and we go and enter the upper deck. We're ramping up half a flight to the upper parking deck behind the retail or commercial tenant space. So that's the upper floor for those units. So all the units have their own laundry facilities, their own mechanical, so they're all independent. They have their own central air and mechanical system for each unit. Large open kitchen, living dining area for those. That's a 1-bedroom. Going over here, we have the 3-bedroom, which is a nice size unit and has a large master bedroom with its own bathroom. So these would have 2 bathrooms. Excuse me.
We had to get Mr. Evans a water break here.
So there we go. And we have, so those 3 bedrooms are here. We also have on each floor, we have a common area, which is amenity space, which would be tenant space, would either be fitness center, offices, or party occupiable spaces.
Some kind of community room, essentially, yeah.
And it's 1,250 square feet per floor. Okay. Those, so showing that we shade every other unit to give it clarity so you can see the difference in those for the different units. And we have walk-in closets. As I'm looking at the roof terrace plan, basically a majority of the roof is dedicated to utilities and mechanical HVAC. That would be shielded, screened from the street. We have also exterior amenity space, which is a roof terrace for the tenants. We have 3,000 square feet of amenity area, and we have an interior tenant lobby with a small break room and a bathroom. And that is the extent of the layout for the floor plans. Going to the next sheet, we go with the elevations. I could show you the River Street elevation, and I'd like to go to the rendering, probably illustrate a little better. As you can see, we have a mix of materials. Here's the intersection of 6th Ave and River Street, so that's our main commercial entry, and then we have the apartment entry toward down River Street a little ways. Can you see this?
This is your, can you see the rendering?
Yes, yes.
No, we're still on the elevations.
Oh, okay, we'll get there.
And
Is it up?
Now it's up.
okay, so I stopped sharing the plans, and then I'm sharing the rendering. As you can see, this would be the intersection of 6th Ave and River Street. So we have the main entrance to the, which may be, suitable for professional, medical, or offices on the first floor. And then materials, we have a, aluminum, coated, it's a, wood look panel, which is a horizontal panel. We have brick and stucco and different, materials. We have dark, fenestration with the, windows, and we have design, and, that would be basically what we're proposing for, the elevation. So usually when we do these photorealistic, presentations, it's very true to what is going to be built, to scale, proportion, and basically what you see is resolved within a three-dimensional model that we created. So, I can go back to the elevations. So we can. So basically, as we mentioned, we have the screened-in area for the mechanicals. We have our the terrace for the tenants would be above this area. We have our stair and elevator tower, and then the upper deck in the back, and then the entrance to the commercial residential above. And then we have the ramp. As you can see, it's on an angle, so it's maybe a little difficult to read, but you could enter and go down to that lower level parking on that elevation. Basically, that's the main presentation for the elevations and the floor plan, site plan.
Okay, just to follow up, one or two things a little bit beyond the scope of your actual plan. River Street is obviously a corridor for public transportation as well, is that correct?
Yes.
And also, we're directly adjoining to the west of the Bunker Hill Industrial Park area behind us?
Yeah, Bunker Hill is basically, it's the Bunker Hill redevelopment zone is right adjacent to us. Or the biggest private employer in the city of Paterson, Accurate Box in Bunker Hill. You have Contos Foods. You have many large manufacturing and industrial, which is thriving in the Bunker Hill area, which this would serve the needs of those people.
So potentially housing for residents that want to live in the city of Paterson?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that would conclude Mr. Evans' testimony at this time, Mr. Chairman. Of course, he'll be available for questions at this time. I would point out that I'm going to be calling Mr. Alimi next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, Mr. Evans, before I start, I'm gonna get into a little housekeeping. On sheet A1, you said that that's the lower level parking. Now, you said that they were pulling in from East 12th Street, and they also had access to River Street. There's no access to River Street. Or did I hear wrong, or did you say that?
No, there's just pedestrian, I mean, there's stairs that'll bring you up from the lower level, and the elevator that'll bring you up. That'll be the only way to get up to the sidewalk on River Street or up above to the commercial or the residential.
There's no car access from River Street, that's what I'm asking.
No, that's what's good about it is that, it really, takes the traffic off of River Street, especially for people coming in and out of the site. It's, there were some other applications that had that, but this is, really a sleepy, area behind it. You have, I think it's Callan Corp is the large industrial building adjacent to us, and there's really, only a few houses along East 12th Street that, we would be using this, as our main vehicular, access.
Okay, on sheet A3, which is your floor plan, okay, you have that marked basement plan. In the title box, you have that marked basement plan. That's just some housekeeping.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, on sheet A2. Okay, along River Street, you have those proposed awnings, which were shown also on your rendition. And those awnings, project into city property, which we cannot have. I'm gonna give you an example. Mr. Mariconda had an application a year or two ago, and they replaced a fire escape in the front of the building, and the building was online, and they replaced the fire escape. Engineering threw me out for allowing the fire escape to be put onto city property, even though it was their only means of, second means of, exit, but I didn't allow it, it was a replacement. In this case, you're building awnings that are projecting into city property, which can't be, so they're gonna have to be, they obviously have to be, removed. On sheet A1, I mean S1, on your zoning chart, there are several, mistakes. One of them is on your open area, you have 24, two-bedroom units. And I think we only have 12 two-bedroom units, right?
Well, we have, let me confirm.
On your open space, calculation, slide it back up.
One second. Alright, so we have 21 ones, 12 twos, and 9 threes.
Look on your open space calculation in your zoning chart, that's what I'm looking at.
Right. Just wanted to clarify that part of it, okay.
Yep, that's what I said. You're holding out 24 two-bedrooms.
That has to be corrected, yes.
So it's,
And obviously, those numbers have to be corrected. And then the parking numbers and some of the other numbers on the zoning chart, which I'll get into in a few minutes. So that's just the housekeeping. So now I want to start with the plan.
okay.
Now, the commercial tenant space is over 10,000 square feet. You don't know at this point, what the breakdown is, how many tenants? 5, 10?
We're expecting at this point, the applicant will be able to testify. I referenced earlier that there could be a subdivision, but he anticipates only 1 tenant now.
Okay. All right, so, I used it as retail, and, retail space for every 150, so the parking variance would increase. But, now we'll get into that afterward, I guess, after the testimony, but, I'm gonna start with your, which plan am I looking at first? Okay. Your A2 plan.
That's the first floor plan.
Yes, the first floor plan, I'm sorry. Okay, you show 16 garbage cans. So is it your intention to put 16 garbage cans, in that area?
Well, what we have is basically we show, that's a refuse recycling area, dedicated for the, refuse recycling. So basically what we have is a compactor. So the compactor to reduce the volume of the garbage by a third, by 2/3, bringing the cubic, yards down for that, so it's not gonna need as much for the garbage. So we wrote here, bags from the chute to be compacted and transported in garbage cans in curb as sanitation schedule requirements. 2 yard, is a 6x3x3, 400 pounds, 24 trash bags. It would be the most, that would be required. We also have the,
Well, if you need 24, you're only providing 16. But that being said, where does the cardboard go? That's not gonna be compacted. I'm assuming the glass and plastic is, but, where's the separation?
yeah, they would be separated within the different cans. Maintenance would basically be dealing with all the, separation and, coordinating the recycling and the refuse.
Okay, so, and it's your intention, which is really not, 21st century, is to put out at least a maximum of 24 garbage pails along River Street during pickup.
Well, we intend to bring them out. We have an overhead door, and they would go down the ramp, and they would be, picked up in the back of the building on East 12th Street, which is, City Street.
Yeah, well, then you're gonna put as many as 24 garbage pails out on East 12th Street, which is really, not ideal. Also, while we're on that first floor, plan, where does the cardboard get stored?
In the recycling room here.
Okay, you're gonna store it in the room there, okay. All right, then, where does it get stored, when you go to sheet, A3? Okay, your second, third, and fourth plan, fourth floor plan, where they have the garbage chute. Now, blow that up, and you'll see what I'm talking about. There's no place to store any cardboard. If you store it in the hallway, you're gonna end up blocking the elevator and the stairwell. Now, they're right there. You have no place to store cardboard.
Yeah, so we have the chute, which then, when you bring your garbage directly into the chute, then we have.
They're not gonna crush big boxes to put into the chute. Cardboard boxes for even deliveries, furniture, and other things that you get, that, you know, they're not gonna crush them. They're gonna, in most cases, they leave the boxes as they are. They don't even crush pizza boxes. So, you're gonna have an issue with that. I also have an issue with the chute. Some of the apartment, people are gonna have to walk 400 feet to get to the chute. That's almost 2 city blocks, just to empty out your garbage.
Well, what we're proposing is, I mean, if they wanna make a special trip for that, it would be, you know, it might be a little bit of a walk, but usually what people are gonna get on the elevator, they'll drop the stuff off on their way out or in their car, and then they should.
Mr. Evans, you're not proposing that they're only gonna empty garbage when they leave the apartment, are you?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, the reason why is you have 3-bedroom units all the way on the other end. And there's a possibility you're gonna have children here. With 3 bedrooms, I'd have more than once a day. To walk over 400 feet, you know.
Matt, is there a way, Matt, that we can adjust this to accommodate,
Well, I mean, we have a lot, we have 150 square feet, as I mentioned, per floor of amenity space. We can carve out a little area for another storage room, for those double doors, and then that could be a recycling area, if you see fit. And I think that would be, something we have a lot of area that we can,
That would suffice for, you show parking for, on your zoning chart, you show, the required parking. Zoning chart. I gotta find it, hold on, okay, here it is. On S1, you say it's 116, and it actually calculates to 133 if you use retail. If you use medical, it's gonna go up to about 150. If it's a medical center, right now, and Mr. Mariconda knows that I must have made about 3 or 4 trips for the old Tropicana, that application, and I made another trip for this application, and every time I've been there, I'm double parking on River Street. Cars are double parking on River Street. So now, you don't have, even if they get just FedEx and UPS, and it's all medical, there is no place to load and unload. There's no place for box trucks to load and unload furniture. And additionally, all the all the businesses that are allowed in B1, let's just say this medical building doesn't go through, or it fails. Now the owner, because it's a permitted use, could turn that into a retail, could turn that into a store, could turn that into a restaurant, which is all allowed in the zone. And that would make the parking, again, that would compromise that parking problem as well. Now, and you would not be back in front of this board. Let's say the medical place went in there, and even though they don't have any parking for unloading and shipping and receiving, let's say, and now the tenant, the landlord decides to put that River Street where we have no parking now. I double parked and I had one car, and there were cars that were double parked as well, so I double parked behind one of them, just to make my inspection, and I made several at this site. So, I also have, an issue with the parking. Part of that could be because of the density and the floor area ratio. If you're sort of, and listen, I'm all for the concept. I think it's the right concept, okay? I don't have any problem with bringing in residential in the B1 zone here, and the tenant space. But, certainly, your density, you're covering almost 95% of the lot, and your density is high in an area where the density is already high. I don't think that the trash chute is fair to the tenants on the, at 89, so the medical office,
Problem with the removal of the awnings is doable while we're resolving some of the points that you're raising with regard to the utilization of the site for the medical office. And I think if we put Mr. Alimi on after, of course, all the commissioners have completed their questions with Mr. Evans, hopefully we can address some of those issues that you've raised.
okay? That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, for Mr. Evans' plan.
Are there any commissioners that have questions for the architect? And Mr. Rocker, can you open it up to the public, please?
Yes. To the members of the public, if you have questions of this witness, specific to his testimony, you'll have an opportunity to give a comment at the end if you so wish. But if you do have questions, please call 973-321-1579 and enter meeting ID number 711-680-001. Once again, call 973-321-1579, enter meeting ID number 711-680-001. Let's give it a moment to see if anybody calls. I know at this time there are no callers, but let's see if anybody else calls.
Mr. Rocker, do we have any callers?
I'm just double checking. We have no calls, you can proceed with your next witness.
Mr. Marconda?
Yes, sir, we're gonna call Mr. Sadan Alimi, and we may recall Mr. Evans at some point after Mr. Alimi's testimony to consider some of the modifications that Mr. Paparazzi suggested. So we might be interacting between Mr. Evans and Mr. Alimi at that time. So Mr. Alimi, you can be sworn.
affirm testimony about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Your voice way up.
Yes, yes.
Can you state your full name for the record?
Sure, Sinan Alimi?
Okay, Mr. Lamy, you can, you are the principal of Riverview Property Management and Realty, is that correct? With respect to this application, obviously at this point, we've had Mr. Evans's presentation in terms of the site plan, and we've had Mr. Paparazzi's review comments. What I'd like to do first, though, is, before we get into those specific things, just give a little bit of a background of your family's development and history with the city of Paterson, just generally.
Yes, we've been developing building in Paterson for the last 20 years, starting with two-family houses. We've been building in Paterson for the last 20 years, doing two-family houses, tobacco, which is supermarket, advanced auto parts. We've also done some parks for the city. We've been doing very active in the city. I was born and raised in Paterson, lived in the Riverside area, so I've always liked to do things in Paterson and try to make Paterson a better city.
So this is really your home turf, so to speak, in Riverside?
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, I like that part of it. With respect to this particular project, then, your goal here is to create, obviously, quality residential housing with a diversity of units, 1, 2s, and 3s, right?
Yes, we're looking to change, that whole section of River Street. It seems like it's decayed over the years. Obviously, this was an old bar at the time, it burned down. So we wanted to do something that maybe could revitalize River Street, as other parts of the city have. And we're hoping by scale development to bring that. There's not any nice apartments in the area, so if you're working Bunker Hill, at Contos or any of the other manufacturing companies, you have to go look for an apartment in Prospect Park or Haledon, which I think is unfair. If you're working in the city, why not live in the city? But there's nothing close by that's of quality.
So you'd anticipate that some of these residents could be walking to their place. As a Riverside boy, you know the bus traffic on River Street is regular and consistent as well?
Yes.
Okay. And again, the upgrading of this entire area is your goal.
Yes, that is absolutely correct.
And you have done some work already with projecting possible tenants, and you would like to hopefully have one major linchpin type of tenant there?
Yes, we're looking for one tenant for the first floor, correct.
And what type of tenant are you looking at?
We're looking for a medical use, but not that it's a medical use to be like a pharmacy / outpatient, one tenant. We have a few people that are interested. The city is working with us, economic development, both Mike Powell, it wouldn't be a lot. What we're looking for, since it's going to be a pharmacy / outpatient, one unit, one tenant, there'll be a lot of foot traffic. Nobody's going to drive a block away to come here. They're going to walk, and that's the intent. There's no medical or outpatient facility in the Riverside area. Everybody has to drive to Wayne or the other side of Paterson to get any medical attention. So we're trying to do something that would improve the community, quality of life.
You understand that would increase the parking requirement as compared to general retail, but you accept that?
Yes. I do.
Okay, and you're talking about the residents that live on 6th Avenue, 5th Avenue, 4th Avenue? Okay, so that's...
Absolutely. I just want to take a note also on River Street. I think because it's such a large tract of property with no tenant, everybody takes advantage that there's nobody complaining, so everybody's parking and double parking. And there's a lot of abandoned cars there that haven't moved in months. Just because there's nobody complaining in front of it.
Right, so obviously this is a fairly...
That's our main...
Okay, so you've gotten some traction there with the garbage location shoots. Anything else you can suggest to us in terms of the other conditions as far as the utilization of the site? You have private maintenance, you said indicated?
Yeah. Yes, we have a full-time staff to take care of maintenance. Obviously, you need it with the 2 levels of parking, upstairs and downstairs. I think it's essential, taking out the garbage, maintaining the hallways, and stairwells at all times.
Okay. Anything else that you wish to add as far as the mechanics of
East 12th Street right now, so DPW is on a regular basis cleaning up, just because there's nobody there to complain, so we definitely need to revitalize this.
So again, this is a spur to clean up in terms of River Street and East 12th.
Right.
Right, okay. That's all I have of Mr. O'Neill at this time. Of course, he's available.
Gary,
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. O'Leary, I'm sure you do good work in Patterson. I know a few that, applications that we, had, on the zoning board in the past 7 or 8 years. But it's not a question of your work. I like the plan. I just think the plan is a little bit too much. Now, you know, I mean, and again, I'm sure it could get done. I just think, you know, it seems like all the applications that everybody has to max out, and that's where your negative impact comes in. I'm happy about the private hauler, but again, that garbage chute is going to eliminate some parking, I think. I don't know where he got with the parking, and you have to remember, you have also 3 bedrooms, you know, and that's, you know, that's where you're going to need, there's definitely going to be a need for traffic. Now, also on the commercial, if the medical center doesn't work, you're not going to leave it empty. You're going to convert it into some sort of retail or something, or a restaurant or something else, and you don't have to come back to the board. So you know, maybe that would help, but you know what? In 10 years from now, if the medical center fails, nobody's going to know about this application, and it's going to make a bad problem worse. So I'm just trying to use some foresight and try to at least, you know, come halfway, meet you halfway.
Right, and we would stipulate definitely no restaurant use. It's good, our goal is to really make this a higher end, professional, services.
But even at some sort of medical center, at 10,217 square feet, you're gonna have at least 10 employees, maybe more. You know, I mean, you don't have any parking now. So let's say planning comes in and say, you don't need 61, you need 31. I don't know, does he store 31 cars on the street? You know, now you see where I'm trying to get to?
Well, we're clearly going to offer plenty testimony regarding the environment. But again, this neighborhood we feel is essentially a neighborhood that has always, that's what we're trying to restore it to, and also utilize the main thoroughfare of River Street for the public transportation as well. Many people use that bus that live in that area to go downtown to work and so forth. And even
I understand that, but from what I understand on the buses in Paterson, they don't run after 6 o'clock and they don't run on weekends. So, you know, I mean, and if they come every 20 minutes, you have to hope that they're empty. You know, I mean, it's not that you got a bus there. The bus comes, maybe you can put 2 or 3 people or 10 people on it. You're not going to be able to put the number of tenants that you feel are not going to have cars. So, anyway, that's all I have to say for Mr. Delaney.
Yeah, no, we do think the public transportation is better.
Okay, all right. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, for Mr. Delaney.
Thank you.
Any commissioners?
Yeah, but I'm mindful of what Mr. Paparazzi has said, and I'm wondering, would you consider reducing the size of your plan?
What we'd like to do, Mr. Hodges, is once we complete your questioning and as well as the other commissioners, I'm going to ask for a very short break before we initiate our planning testimony, so we can have a little bit of a discussion about the issues raised tonight, if you don't mind. We appreciate that.
No, yeah, but I would strongly suggest that, given what you're trying to do, and the nature of that area, because if you go 1 block up from River Street, it's jammed. Those are there is no parking up you know, in that area at all. So this just to make it even worse on River Street than what it is now, because there's no place else to relieve it. There just isn't. So they won't be able to compensate for when you come in there with additional space requirements, there's no place to relieve it. There just isn't. So I think you're gonna have to tailor or cut back your scope of what you're trying to do in order to make that fit, make it more of a reasonable project. But you go ahead and have that discussion amongst you.
We'd like to receive the rest of the board's comments and questions. If we may first, we would appreciate that very much.
Yeah, we're gonna get through the board's questions and the public before you take your break.
Sure.
Commissioner Watkins, hello everyone.
Hello.
The reason you don't really get any complaints because that whole side where you wanna build it is empty. But on the opposing side, you have multiple, convenience stores. People are double parking because it's easy for them to run in and run out. But once you put that building there, it makes it twice as bad. Okay, so all the little mom and pop stores that are there.
Understood.
Thank you.
Good evening, this is Commissioner Furman. The idea of the building, oh, thank you, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
No, go ahead.
The idea of having the building, especially medical building in our city of Paterson, is great. But we have a big issue with the parking. That area is always congested. You drive there, early in the morning it's congested, in the afternoon. I drive around that area a lot. So hopefully we can work this out, but understanding that issue is a big problem. I have a question also. For how long did you own this property?
When did you acquire title, if you remember, Son? 2 years ago. About almost 2 years ago, and we initiated this project about 1.5 years ago. We've been working towards this.
And how long have this lot been abandoned?
Well, there was a major fire loss, so I don't know how many exact dates. That fire loss goes back 15 years or so. I didn't have the exact date in my head, but it's been a long time. There were a couple other concepts and projects that were withdrawn, that were isolated to the one side of our entire parcel. And you can see that there has been a deterioration over those years of really this area, which is in great need of redevelopment.
And also dumping the garbage. I'm very concerned too, especially winter time. You know, when it's snowing, it's a long trip to get rid of the garbage. I'm a little bit concerned there as well. Thank you very much. But like I say, the idea is great. Having a medical building in our city of Paterson, wonderful. Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Chairman, at this time I'll open it to the public.
Yes, please.
So members of the public, if you have any questions of this witness, please call 973-321-1579 and enter meeting ID number 711-680-001. Let me see if we have any calls. Let's give it a moment. Okay, we have no callers.
Mr. Maricondo?
Alan, you're muted.
Yeah, we're back on. Thank you. So no questions for the public? Okay.
No.
We'd like to just go off record 2 more minutes if we could at this time. Thank you very much.
Gary, I'm gonna call you, answer your phone. Alan, are you ready?
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for your patience and time here. Thank you, Counselor. What we've done is we've had some discussion off the record, obviously. We think, in order to take into consideration and accommodate some of the, dialogue that's occurred with the commissioners tonight, we'd like to carry this matter, to another special meeting. We realize that might be impossible to set a date on right now, given the board circumstances, but we would like to do it as soon as possible, and hopefully that can be arranged for the month of June. We do think we can come up with a modification of this plan, given the fact that we believe the board likes the concept, but it requires some modification.
So, obviously I can't give you a date right now. What we could do is we could carry it to a regular meeting and hopefully address the date at that time, or potentially address it before. If we address it before, then notice be required. If we address it at the meeting, then obviously notice would not be required.
That would be acceptable to us, yes.
I'm wondering if, I can't carry it to next week's meeting. I'm assuming that I went out. Gary, what's our first meeting in June?
The second Thursday.
On the calendar.
Regular meeting is the second Thursday in June, Marco.
Alright, hold on, let me see something, look at the
The
calendar.
10th, June 10th.
Alright, so we will carry this meeting till June 10th at 7:30 PM for calendaring purposes.
Right.
There'll be other matters that are ahead of you, so it won't be heard. To members of the public, this matter is going to be carried, it's not going to be heard any longer tonight. It will be on the June 10th at 7:30 PM meeting. At that time, it's anticipated it'll get a new date. If it gets a new date at that time, no new notice will be required. If in the event another meeting is scheduled prior to that, notice will be sent accordingly.
Mr. Rock,
I don't believe there's any other business.
no, we'll be continuing our hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
You're in.
Enjoy your weekend.
Marco, do you need me?
Good night.
I don't care.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.